Here we go. Here we go. It's markets in the morning. Let's go. Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is the blockchain backer bringing you the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. Welcome to Markets in the Morning. Today is Thursday, July 27th, 2023. It's Markets in the Morning, where we take a look at the price action of the cryptocurrency market and the stock market and gold, metals, dollar, altcoin market, all that good stuff as the stock market gets set to open in the next 1 minute. So we'll dive into all of this, see how we're looking coming off of the 25 basis point rate hike that we had yesterday from the Federal Reserve. Markets held up pretty well. The stock market even went up afterwards. After the live stream was done, it went up into the close. So things are looking pretty okay. Looks like we're going to have a good opening here for the stock market as well. We'll dive into all of that, and Bitcoin still holding on top of that 50-day moving average there, sitting at 29,466 with most of the market in the green today. So we'll dive into all of that. Let's get through this stuff real quick. First, my social media is at BCBacker over here on Twitter or X.com. This is the only active social media that I do have. All other accounts are impersonators trying to scam you, especially over on other social media websites. It's the only one that I use, at BCBacker. Check the handle, check the blue check mark, check all that good stuff, and make sure I'm not asking you to send money somewhere for some lucrative investment, because that's not what I'm doing. I'm not out there doing that. The merch store is live. There's a link in the description of this live stream in there. And of course, bcbacker.com is up and running with over 40 hours, over 11 hours of content with over 40 videos, deep diving into crypto and charts and teaching you everything that I could come up with that I've learned about being in the cryptocurrency market. Like I said, today will be my last day for the next for the weekend. I will be back on Tuesday. So this, if you're looking for some content from me, it's a great opportunity to catch up on all this and watch all my videos. Well, I will be gone for the next 4 days. But all right, here we go. Stock market is opening up right now. We've got Bitcoin sitting at 29,467. Still holding on top of that 50-day moving average. Just okay. Just kind of humming along there, still holding. Dow Jones Industrial Average up 28 points as the market opens. The NASDAQ up over 200 points as the market does open. NASDAQ is up 1.47%, up 227 points. The S&P is up 33 points, up 0.75% this morning. Absolutely ripping into the opening, with the Dow being up 50 points. Yesterday's close for the Dow was actually the highest. Even took out the price from there over in April. We had peaked above it the day prior. Yesterday, we actually closed above it. Today, still continuing a little bit over there. You can see, like, when you look at the futures or the E-mini Dow futures, it actually even has poked above the February pricing over there. So really, the next area of interest, now that all retraces are going through, it's, can we get there? Can we get to that all-time high over there for the stock market? So looking at the NASDAQ today, NASDAQ, nice little gap up, getting back to pricing we were at the end of last week, or the beginning of last week, excuse me. S&P, another gap up right there. So there we go. S&P now highest pricing dating back till March of 2022. So we've taken that out, another step up there in the S&P. Let's take a look at the winners and the losers of the market. Meta is the leader today, up 8%, followed by Nvidia and Amazon on the lower bound. The losers today, it looks like only one of them's in the red. You got Caterpillar, and then you got United Health and Netflix down there near the lows. But Meta, Nvidia, Amazon, and Roblox, and Google and Coinbase all there near the top. As for crypto today, little bit of a mix, but mostly in the green, still just waddling along, trying to get that break there for Bitcoin to get a bigger move up and get the wall of worry cleared. That wall of worry is really, I think, is just sitting right there at 31,800. I think if we take that price level out, all the excitement returns back to this market. But until we do that, there's always going to be that little overhang of worry. I've been through this rodeo before, seen this movie before. I've been through all of the emotional stuff of what we're dealing with right now. You look at it like this, just this little pullback, and you see how much worry there still is in the market, even during something like this, even being so close to it. Just get through there, and I think all the excitement does return back to the market. As for XRP, still just ranging, still holding that range as it has now been 2 weeks. Remember Thursday, 2 weeks ago is that moment. Then we ended up having that breakout happen for XRP. A summary judgment came out ruling that XRP is not a security. Still sitting right here in the range, holding the lower bound on top of the moving averages, just humming along. Nothing too crazy, nothing like screaming big reversal yet, but obviously price did stall. That's what we were expecting. Price would stall out and stop. That massive downtrend down here, not massive, but you get it. The downtrend would stop, and it has, right? This is the longest we've been going sideways during this whole trend. You can just draw a little line here to show the velocity at which it was moving. That has obviously shifted in here. So shifted out for XRP, but still waiting for something of significance to show up. I have already recorded an entire XRP video, and that video is about 17 minutes long. I've already gone through the first round of editing, so I just need to go back through it one more time. I always double check it before I export it and put it out there. So that will be up within 1 hour after this stream is over. There will be an XRP video out there. If you're having a hard time seeing the bullish picture on there for XRP, I show the significance of this move happening in here, why it matters, and when we were looking at the whole market. It was a very significant move that happened here, way more significant than what happened back in April of 2021 when we hit $2. So I'm excited to get that video out, and I've already got it fully recorded and edited. Just need about 1 more hour after the live stream, and we'll have it up and running and good to go for the day. As for the total altcoin market cap, still, right, Wyckoff accumulation, last point of support, spring phase, what we want to call it. This has been on top of the 200-week moving average where we've been sitting here. We've been talking about Bitcoin sitting on top of the 50-day moving average. But with the total altcoin market cap, I mean, we can throw on the daily moving averages as well here. You're above the 50-day moving average. You're above the 100-day. How about the two? Above the 200 days. You're above the 100, the 50, 100, and 200, and the 200-week moving average in here for the altcoin market. A little bit of bounce there on the 200-week sitting right there. So just waiting for this puppy to turn itself up and wake up and get going. But we'll just have to keep on waiting for that day to come around. Now, it's an interesting day over there in broader markets because not only do we see the stock market up, look at that, NASDAQ up 259 points this morning, up 1.68%. The S&P up 0.82%. The Dow up 0.22%. Ripping over here in the stock market, ripping over here, rocking and rolling. It has been volatile with the US dollar currency index. So we actually saw the DXY really pulling back down, but then ripped right back up. So I know the ECB did a quarter point rate hike this morning. Obviously, the Federal Reserve of the United States, right? We had a quarter point raise yesterday. Does that have to do with this? Maybe. Not sure if all the stipulations of when those things occur with like ECB happening. I know that we had a 2.4% Q2 GDP, which beat expectations. So again, the most expected recession of all time. You could check Google trend history. More Googling that we are in a recession, going into a recession, than we had during C19. Of course, more than the great financial crisis. One, because Google has grown bigger. But even if you look at how much searching was going on during C19 compared to now, it's like double the amount of searches for people expecting us to be in a recession. But there you go, 2.4% Q2 GDP beats expectations. By definition of a recession, what do you have to have? 2 negative GDP quarters. That's not negative. So not in a recession. Stock market ripping today after all of that has been happening. And so the Dow up almost 80 points, 0.22%. The S&P up 0.82%, and the Nasdaq up 1.72%. Just an absolute rip there for the Nasdaq here, heading in to start the morning out. Bitcoin's still sitting right at the 50-day moving average. XRP at 71.7 cents, still holding the lows, working its way along those moving averages. We'll see if we can get ourselves back up into the upper bounds of this range sometime soon. But the dollar, just after plunging right back up, and that may have to do here. ECB raises rates by a 0.25 percentage point and says inflation is set to remain too high for too long. So there you go. There's a little bit of news for you. GDP grew at 2.4% pace in the second quarter, topping expectations despite recession calls. Stock futures rise on better than expected GDP. Dow heads for record, tying 14th straight gain. So the Dow has just been ripping for 14 days. Hey, can't complain about that. Looking over there at Bloomberg, it's the same story, right? US GDP growth accelerates to 2.4%, blowing past estimates. Global stocks soar on view Fed rates have peaked. Markets wrap. ECB hikes rates again while keeping September options open. Fed raises the rates to a 22-year high and leaves the door open for more. So we did raise by 25 basis points yesterday. Expects that we'll leave rates up there for a little while, that they won't be coming back down. We are in restrictive territory for rates. We've gone through this quite a bit on the channel. When you look at rate hikes, rate pauses, and rate cuts, it's usually the cuts that are the warning sign for things to start falling apart. So the communication from the Fed is that it seems like we're just as close as we could be to them being done. Like, they don't even seem confident. Maybe we get another quarter point at some point throughout this year. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not a Fed expert. Just kind of I was there with you guys. There's over 4,000 of us watching it concurrently yesterday. The language was very, we'll see. But that we're getting there. But just to expect, they're communicating that they're going to hold them there for some time, regardless of the housing market slowing down, regardless of even if the housing market starts falling. It sounds like that is not something that would stop them. I think it would have to be like runaway unemployment or something, but that it'll take some time. So we have seen CPI come down to 3%, as you know. When we get our next reading, that will be, I don't even know, sometime next month. We get them every single month. But that'll be an interesting one to see, does it bounce a little bit or does it kind of stay flat? I heard somebody ask a question during the Fed meeting. Hey, if we get another reading like what happened this month and we see a big fall in inflation, will that change your mind on rates? And he kind of just dismissed it. And I'm kind of like, I'm dismissing it in my own head too. I'm like, that's just the stupidest question you could possibly ask. Look at the numbers. That's not going to happen. You're not going to see that big fall in CPI. You would literally have to have super big, negative, big deflation happen in order for that to happen again. So it's either going to stay flat or it could catch a small bounce in here. It's more about how are we going to look for the next 6 months for CPI? Is it going to kind of chill out and stay here and keep doing what it's been doing with these zeros and 0.2s and 0.3s and 0.4s? All those, we keep registering those, and it seems like things will chill out. But of course, they're watching core CPI as well. That has not fallen as dramatically as a standard CPI. So either way, it's I think the fear of them going crazy, I think that's pretty much done. I think the stock market knows it. Dang, 280 points for the NASDAQ this morning, 40 points over there for the S&P, 90 points for the Dow Jones. As the Dow Jones is just crushing it. So these are all good things macro-wise for crypto. We're just waiting for crypto to kind of wake up and Bitcoin to kind of wake up after being on top of that 50-day moving average. But XRP still just humming along in here in that range that it's been in for the last 2 weeks. And waiting to see if we're going to hold here at the bottom end of the range and shoot our way back up. So, all right. I think that kind of wraps it up. We kind of all saw all of that stuff yesterday together. Prices haven't moved drastically in crypto. It's just the things that we've been seeing over there in macro land keep going. We keep seeing that stock market rising up, and that's a good thing for us. It's what we want to be cheering for out there. So I'm happy to see that happening. We're still just waiting on crypto to do its thing. Otherwise, I will have an XRP video out in the next hour after this live stream is completed. If you find yourself questioning and going insane over this little range right in here and needing to kind of understand the significance of this moment right in here, I think my video today is going to do a pretty good job of doing that. So I'm pumped. I'm pumped for sure, and you'll see why. Otherwise, let's go ahead and dive into the chat. Again, guys, I will be off Friday through Monday. We'll be returning on Tuesday, which I have, of course, told you guys here in the live streams, and I've told you over there on Twitter a couple of times, retweeting it. So getting near the end of the summer here, man. Time to kind of chill out as we get ready for the fall, because hopefully the fall and the winter is where we see all the excitement here in the crypto market. We'll be grinding like crazy. But all right, let's jump into the chat. Pat's Butler gifted a BCB membership. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. We of course we've always had the Oscar Hernandez's, and then, that reminds me, we haven't seen Whiskey 2 in quite some time. I know he's had a lot going on with himself, but we haven't been seeing Whiskey 2 very often lately. I think it's maybe been a month. But Pat's Butler, thank you very much. Craig Tilbury, hey BCB, if the Dow Jones hits a new all-time high, would that change your thesis on Bitcoin all-time high versus retrace? Thanks. Right, so I've always laid out that if the Dow does not hit a new all-time high, then there's no way I can believe that Bitcoin could hit an all-time high. And I've always said, if Dow Jones can hit new all-time high, then I have to, by default, remove that stipulation and to say it is possible. Then it all comes down to the probabilities. Will it do it? Is it going to do it? That's a whole nother question. But when it comes to, like, as a computer scientist or as a scientist, you have very strict rules. If this happens, then this can happen. And so if Dow Jones does set new all-time high, then by theory, considering every other time Bitcoin's gone into its all-time high, it needed the Dow, it has that in there. So if that's there, then it opens up the possibility for me to say it's no longer like impossible. It becomes possible, right? So we'll have to see how things go. So like here's one thing that would make me nervous, right? Let's say the Dow sets the new all-time high, but it actually hits its 4.236 extension from the great financial crisis. And at the exact same time that happens, Bitcoin like shoots up and hits like $53,000, like hits its 702 retracement at the exact same time the Dow hits the 4.236 extension. What would your thoughts on that be? I'd be like, it's kind of some confluence there, right? Maybe not, right? So we'll have to see how it looks when it gets there. But the rule has always been for Bitcoin, Dow Jones new all-time high, then by default, Bitcoin can set new all-time high. Not will. A lot of you people put on those earmuffs and hear what you want to hear. Not will. It by theoretically can. All right. Thanks, Greg. Wesley, new member. BCB, your TA is second to none and can calm anyone. Thanks for all you do. Genuinely, this is the best community to be a part of the 702 crew. What's up? All right, Wesley, thank you. Matt Bender. This is kind of reiterating what we just said. He says, if Dow Jones hits all-time high, is your thesis that Bitcoin hits all-time high? No, it's not. But my thesis will not be that Bitcoin can hit all-time high, but it will be that it can now. It has one of the variables that is required for all-time high, right? Like I've always said, retrace. All of 2022, how many times do you hear it's never going to happen? Oh my gosh, nonstop. You hear it's never going to happen. Now we're starting to head back up there, and what's going to happen when we get to retraces? Everybody's going to be screaming for new all-time highs. So you have to be real careful about retraces because it's also where euphoria returns back into the market. It's where optimism at max levels returns back into the market. And those can be the rejection levels. So if we get through the retraces, great, hip, hip, hooray. But we have to be like super cautious there because that is always where you have the return to normal bubble pop euphoria. And what's going to happen? You already know it. We can see it. We go back to it, you know it's going to be there. You know the euphoria is going to be there. It's not going to feel good. If you've ever done anything in this market correctly, you know it felt wrong at the time. Whether it was selling or it was buying, it felt like garbage. Every time. Or else you've never done it right. Or else you've only bought tops and sold bottoms. But if you've ever bought bottoms and you've ever sold tops, it always feels like garbage because everybody around you is screaming the opposite. So we'll have to expect that a sign, always remember that. The more people are screaming at me that I'm wrong, the more I'm confident I am. And we have to wait till we get there. If more people are screaming at me that I'm wrong, and then I'll communicate all of that to you. Yeah, we need more likes. Hey guys, we got 2,000 people in the chat. Appreciate you all tuning into the show. If you could hit the like button, it's the #1 way to support the channel. Thank you so much. Jerome T says, BCB, you're doing this now for so long and always answering tons of questions, often the same. What is the one question you'd expect people to ask, but they never did? But they've never asked. Man, well, nobody's ever asked me this question before. Jerome, thank you. And thank you for the super chat. I think what people don't ask enough of is how do we like deal with the emotional management of it all? Like we all look at like, and I know I bring that up a lot, but it's because people don't don't realize in my position too is I have to like fight against the world because the world kind of knows what I'm doing. If I'm buying, I'm gonna get 1,000 people who are gonna scream at me that I'm wrong. If I'm selling, I'm gonna get 1,000 people who are screaming at me that I'm wrong, and then content creators will create YouTube videos about me to say I'm a dingus. So when I have to make that call, I already know there's even going to be a whole lot more backfire on me from it. But we all have like, with charts, like we can chart it all out, but then when it becomes decision time, nobody wants to do it. Everybody wants to hop on the train, be part of a community. They want to have a lot of fun with everybody, and it becomes a game and it becomes a movement and everything. And just figuring out how we can overcome those. And people haven't been like, hey, you should put together a video so we should talk about that. Because like every time I should have bought, I didn't because I was scared. And every time I should have sold, I didn't because like it was really exciting. Why don't we talk about like how to handle like that and like overcome yourself when you're in that situation? Because it's happened every time. I don't know. I don't know why people haven't asked me that because everybody deals with that. Because we can pick out price targets all we want way ahead of time. And for those who are new in 2021, 2022, we had those Bitcoin price targets picked out in 2019. There was nothing new. We had those Bitcoin price targets picked out in 2019. We had those Bitcoin price targets picked out in 2020. Even after C19, within a month after C19 happened, Bitcoin's sitting down there in $4,000 and $5,000. We're talking about $70,000 Bitcoin. And we get there, and what happens is it becomes a big movement. And so the whole world is screaming at you that you're going to be wrong if you're selling here. Just like the whole world is going to be screaming at you that you're wrong if you're going to be buying at $15,000 to $18,000 Bitcoin, right? The whole world was screaming $10,000 to $12,000. And how do you overcome that? How do you have confidence in yourself rather than trying to find confidence within the herd? Because the herd is the worst place to be. Okay, all right. Thank you, Jerome. We all got all deep. Pat, thank you so much, Pat. And then Pat's butler comes in and says, long time, first time. Thanks for everything. It was your first time, but you've been gifting memberships. Thank you, Pat's butler. JJ Melch, gifted 10. JJ, what's going on? Thank you. The Jake Foose Show said, this is Sparta. Thank you very much. Cuisine Trending, first timer. Thank you very much. George Alexanderopoulos, do you see a 335 flat correction on XRP? No, not really. I've tried to Elliott Wave count this thing. Unless if you could see it differently than me. It's possible. So like here, we'll do it like this. We'll put it on a smaller time frame. You would think that this would have come higher, right? You would just think it would have come higher. But right, where would you be 3, right? So most people would probably go with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but the reality of it is it's probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A, B, C. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this gives you an A, B, C, but technically it's a WXY, right? And that's what we should be using, isn't it? Same difference, right? My wife's favorite saying. Same difference. Right? And so what do you have here? WXY, WXY, and then what? Probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't know. I need to count this out closer. It's possible. I think the thing that, of course, concerns me too, just with it still sitting here like this, is, of course, just, like the crashing structures, right? Those are always nerve wracking. If we're going to end up having that, which would come to backtest. Those who aren't familiar with the crashing structure, it's just simple, right? It's just 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we go on in for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right, for 5. And 6 back to wave 4 within wave 5, and then 7, right? So wherever that is, I've just drawn these on here. Don't ignore the price numbers. That would be the only concern that I have currently right now, in regards to wave counting that. But you zoom out. This is still just within range, so I think your count is valid. The thing with crashing structure, like I was talking about, it's hard to know you're in crashing structure till it's late. So it's hard to use the crashing structure as identifying ahead of time. It's more used for buying for me. So I identify it very clearly. I see the market sentiment. I see everyone's panicked. I'm waiting for that 7th wave. I've watched us roll back up to wave 4 within wave 5, and for wave 6, I'm waiting for 7 to come in. And when 7 comes in, I'm going to buy it. But identifying it early is challenging, because you can have these things do multiple things. This could be contracting triangle of, like we were talking about, a 3-3-5, and in that, we're preparing for another leg up. So a flat, but usually we're going to go a little higher than that. But, technically speaking, you could be. You would think this would be a little higher, though. And really, in like a contracting triangle, what do we have? We have like A, B, C, D, E. And then we go, right? So I think there's still just more in here. And let's get everything off of here. And somebody's just smashing those hearts. I see you, heart smasher. You rock. Okay. Thank you, George. M&M Legend. Hey, BCB, I'm reading another crashing structure on Disney chart. Can you check that? Check again. That will solidify my understanding. Also, do you have any tips on how to ignore the bad news that comes during a crash? Well, the bad news is usually going to be at the bottom. It's just like what we read about in the psychology of Elliott Wave and the psychology of a trading range during spring, right? And it's just like, and sometimes it can be just like what we see, where like it has the gross appearances that the SEC is corrupt and that they time their attacks. We can look at, who do we want to look at? Where's Doge? We're past it. Who has it? There's some of them where the timing on these things is identical. What about the total market cap? It's hard because it doesn't look as aggressive on the total market cap. And you have to use this. Either way, right? What happens? They come out and sue Binance. They come out and sue Coinbase. They wait until you get all the way down here into spring phase. and then initiate their attack, right? Just like we saw on Bitcoin, how long were we sitting there talking about ABC corrections happening in here, ABC, and then they wait until we got down to our boxes. But for those who are newly tuning in, you're probably like, whatever. 99% of the audience is kind of like, oh my gosh, these again, come on. But we had these up here for the whole time, right? They come in with, the market's beaten up, it's hurting, and then they come in with the attack right there at that time. Then you see good news show up at markets in right times. It's like, it's part of being crazy, right? So having to kind of ignore it all. Disney. One, two. It would have to be this. It would have to be kind of 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Back. Probably still waiting. 5, 6, and 7. 7 still hasn't arrived yet. Would be my guess count on that. It was a little bit more tough, a little bit tougher, but I think it looks pretty good, right? Wave 4 doesn't cross wave 1. For those who don't know, with Elliott Wave theory, some people are Elliott Wave warriors on the internet, but they don't know all the rules. There are circumstances where wave 4 can cross with wave 1, but there's circumstances where it cannot. This would be a circumstance where it likely could not, and we can see that it doesn't. So that would be my guess on what the count is, and that 7 has not made its appearance yet on Disney. Normally, I don't pull up charts. When we're looking at, everybody's asking for different charts and stocks and altcoins and stuff like that. But this question was really pertaining to crashing structures. I brought it up so that we could look at actual crashing structure and try to guess a count on something. So I thought it was relevant, and that's why we brought it up. 50-day. There we go. I hope that helped, M&M Legend. Thank you, brother. Pat's Butler again, man. Pat's Butler is wild. Thank you very much. Gifted a BCB membership. Oscar Hernandez. Hey, do you see bear or bullish indicators on total 2? Don't forget to hit the like. So the first place I start is one. We've gone through all of this stuff, right? On the correction, the completion, all of that. We're on top of moving averages. Then I look at the bigger time frame. How is the bigger time frame looking, right? I see monthly time frame, things ripping up. When we go into bears and prolonged bears, we see what happens with stochastic, right? We go back down to the floor and we die a slow death. Then finally we can pull our way out of there and things can start moving upwards again. We're already in that, right? So things are moving slower for the altcoin market to get their way turned back up, but we can see that the strength is starting to return to the market. We're way beyond what would already be, the bottom, right? We're way beyond that moment. We're pulling out of that moment in there. So on the larger time frames, I see us just fine. What I think we are in is just like what we saw with XRP. This is in what we've seen with Chainlink, what we've seen with Bitcoin Cash, what we've seen with Cardano, what we've seen with Atom, and the list goes on and on and on, is Wyckoff accumulation happening in here for the altcoin market. And that's what we are in, and waiting for the sign of strength to emerge where we're probably, just like what we saw with XRP, something just shoots this thing out of here, because that seems to be the repetitive thing that is happening with these, is there's just a sudden shoot out. We've gone into this the last 2 weeks. I've shown videos on the spring phase happening in here, and us returning back to this level in here, right? I think from right here, this would actually be our moment where we actually do start seeing something like this, and then out. So structurally, that's just where we would be at the final phase of accumulation right here at the end. Andy Stanton, thank you very much. Grant Dalton gifted a BCB membership. Thank you very much, Grant. Barry Reddick, member 2 months. As one of the people who got a free BCB membership, shout out for the kind people who donate. Dude, there you go, man. It is wild. I have to thank you guys again. You guys do give these out like crazy to the community. It has grown tremendously. I've never encouraged it. That's just been something the community has done on their own. It's an incredible thing. We started doing these live streams like 6 months ago, maybe 5 months ago. I don't really even remember. And yeah, you spam in the heart button. I could see that heart flying. And you guys, it's turned into a thing. It's turned into a community. There's more that's even growing beyond this. There's chat rooms that have been put together of people, and you guys are very giving, and it's amazing. So thank you guys. Thank you, Barry. And Taylor W asked me something yesterday that I missed. Taylor had, and I'm just remembering that off the top of my head. I'm not looking. I think the last initial was W. He said something about a correlation between oil and crypto. You know, we can, I don't know if I've ever found anything in particular between the two to say there's extreme correlation, but this is a good opportunity where if you were looking for it, what you would do is just do a compare feature. You can just do that and then go add total 2 and then say, do you see a correlation in there? And it seems that oil maybe lags crypto. Is there enough history to say that, though? Hard to know. Maybe. But I don't see extreme timed correlation, but maybe a delayed correlation. Maybe. It seems like these were still moving together, but right, where did the peaks come in, right? Peak came in 10 months before oils did. Peak came in 4 months before oils did. Let's go back here. We got nothing. How about Bitcoin? We'll add Bitcoin. Peak came in 6 months before. So it would seem that if you look at the historical bulls, the peaks come in months prior. But here's the other thing too. It's recognizing the correlation that this has with the stock market, right? So we're correlating. So is it the stock market, right? So you see the sales get taken out of the stock market. That leads to people getting tighter with their money. That probably becomes reduced demand in oil, right? If the stock market is falling or cooling off and the euphoria is gone from the stock market at this point, people get tighter with their money, maybe buy less oil, right? Do less traveling, all that stuff. People are euphoric, having a good time. Everybody's rich. Oh no, we're not rich anymore. Let's cool off on buying and doing things. And so then oil goes down 6 months later, right? Hey, we're all super mega rich. This is amazing, right? Oh no, we're not rich anymore. Okay, let's stop traveling. Maybe that's the correlation. I don't know. I'm definitely not an oil expert, but I can also tell you the oil experts on Twitter are not oil experts. Because I did say that would be the top of oil. And every fundamental oil expert said $200 per barrel. And the reason being why that had to be peak was just we've never seen oil do anything like that before, where it goes up at that velocity and is able to sustain it. Any type of run like that to happen. We got more carried away than we did back in here. This whole thing right in here back in 2007, which led to the giant crash in 08 and 09 in oil. We went faster than that this time. And we had gone the same distance as that whole move, precisely. And that's all I said. I'm like, look, we've never gone this far without it turning over on itself and crumbling. And that was as simple of an explanation I could give, but every fundamental oil expert on Twitter said otherwise, and down we went. So Sure have been holding here for a little while for oil, though. We'll see. All right, Dow. How are we doing now that the market's been open for a little while? You got the NASDAQ up 245. You got the S&P up 30. You got the Dow up 48. So we're at 0.13% for the Dow, up 0.66% for the S&P, up 1.55% for the NASDAQ. Leaders still Meta, Amazon, and NVIDIA. Coinbase has shifted now into the losers position with Roblox and United Health. But overall, market's looking pretty green. Yields are slightly up this morning. Should be expecting to see these 2, 3s, 4s, 6s, and 1 years all get much closer to that 5.5% in the coming month or two. Currently at 5.29, 5.31, 5.31, coming off of being stuck really on 5.26 for quite some time. So we'll see those yields start to drift up, and anybody with a high yield savings account may end up seeing a little bit of a rise in their savings rate too. There we go. Bitcoin daily 50 moving average. There we go. Jerome T. I was in full XRP Euphoria in January of 2018. Then 4 days after peaking, it was all over while I was still holding and still buying. Lesson learned. Yeah, 2018. So that's before I even had a YouTube channel. I did sell the top of XRP, but I started buying it back at $1. We'd hit 3 something. I started buying it back at $1, and of course, just kept on buying after that. But yeah, the Euphoria. So the fortunate thing is I'd already kind of seen those things happening over there with the 702 on Bitcoin. I'd already seen the 4.236 extensions on things like Ethereum. And at that time, there was a coin called Neo that was really popular too. It also did a 4.236 extension there in 2018. So there was a lot of signals kind of signing it out there that we were getting there. But that's how quick it goes. And like I was thinking about this with XRP today, that why it's important everybody needs to be doing their own charting and not just depending on YouTube to provide it for them, because we could get into a position where things are real dicey and the answer becomes really difficult to figure out. And like one of the things I'm trying to say is like, imagine Bitcoin goes back into a retracement, right? It goes back into a 702 retracement or what? No, I'm using the wrong one. I'll just use this as an example. Bitcoin goes back into a 702 retracement, and it's kind of like, dang, is this thing going to take off? Let's say that XRP gets to like, it's sitting right here, right? And Bitcoin has now just hit its 702 retracement. And we're like, everything else is hitting 4.236 extensions, whatever it is, stuff that we're all watching. It's like, it's all hitting it, but XRP is still sitting here underneath the all-time high. And we're all just kind of like, dang, what's going to happen? That then there becomes this big risk of, do you hold here and wait for it, or, do you shoot for it like for $8? Like, I mean, you're still quite a bit below 8 and whatnot. And how this asset's very difficult because this asset will shoot up at the last second. It'll do that 200% rise and then it's all over. But like a really great example of this was Ethereum Classic back in 2021. This right here, I'm going to take us off of log. Notice these are 2 different daily candles. That's one daily candle. That's another daily candle. At one point, the prior day, we were in the 50s, right? So you're in the 50s and you're wondering to yourself, is this thing going to go much higher? And in a matter of only 2 days, it goes from being in the 50s to full extension 175. And then it's over, just like that. And that's how quick it can happen. You're waiting 4.5 years on this thing. You're waiting 3.5, 4 years on this thing, not knowing if it's going to do it And then it did it in a matter of 2 days. It does the 200% rise and hits the 4.236 extension, and then back down we go. And that's how quickly it can all happen for XRP. Say you're at $2 right here, go all the way to 8, and then all the way back to 2 in a matter of 2 weeks, and it's over. It's over. That was it. You know, that's how quick it can happen, and it's not unlike XRP to do it at that type of rate. When we had our big boy bull runs, look how fast that is. There's no time to hang out and celebrate and be buddy with everybody. You know what I mean? It's euphoric. It's on TV. It's exciting. And you're out. You're out. You know? Those are the things people don't ask about. What's that like? When everybody's hooting and hollering on Twitter and we're all part of the same team and we're all excited and all your buddies are doing really good and you're like, wow, we went through this really hard time together. By the way, guys, I'm selling. That is hard. All right. You should design and sell the BCB Emotional Diary by Andy. Well, I mean, look, I'm trying to make an emotional log sound as manly as possible. And I do know there's that 5% of the audience are the ladies. Ladies, appreciate you tuning in. This is a male-dominated industry, and it's amazing that you are partaking in this and grabbing your future by your own hands. But I do have to try to sell the diary idea. Emotional log. Right? No. This is not a diary. We are not writing our feelings. We're writing an emotional log because we're strong. So, a simple Word file. You don't have to write. You know, the nice thing about typing too, you can just say whatever you want. Not have to write it with your hands. My handwriting, man. Every time I have to write something, it's always so weird. I'm on a computer so much. Yeah. Somebody asked about Injective. I'm not familiar with this one. I don't know it. It is over there on Coinbase. Let's see, how high are you right now? You're already up 400% off in 2023. Is it on another chart too? Oh, there you go. You know, you're up significantly already. No major pullbacks. I'm not seeing anything that's super clear here that is deviated from the market. More of just one of the leaders and gotten right back to this. This is what I consider a danger zone for a lot of the market. This area right here, right back in here, December of 2021, January 2022, in here, right? That's where you've gotten. See an example of that area. Like you could look at silver. Right, so here's your whole final little back in the day, you used to call this rally prior to capitulation, right? This is your rally prior to capitulation. And that is what we have here for silver. It's your rally prior to capitulation. There's your capitulation. Yeah, there's a new low set by C19, but there's your rally prior to capitulation. What do? We exceed above the rally prior to capitulation and then find resistances up in here, right? That's where we are. That's where you are here too. So I'd have some caution there on that one, as it's much further ahead of the market. As we know, most of the market, as we saw on the altcoin market cap, sits right around here. So you're quite a ways ahead. Is there the liquidity? I don't know enough about this thing, what it has coming in the future, of if it's already rock starring enough to go shooting off into the moon Lambo location. I don't know. But it is quite a bit ahead, and you're at a pretty significant resistance right there. Thank you for the sub now too, Joseph. Thank you. And thank you, Andy, for the diary idea. But everybody, just open up Notepad. Just say, I'm so mad right now. This market. All right. Joseph Swanton. Hey, BCB, could Bitcoin triple top like gold? Well, gold hasn't technically triple topped. If it goes crashing down, then okay, that's one thing. It's very unusual to do that. Very unusual. Man, but that's a very broad series of questions that could be elaborated on for 30 minutes, Jason. And try to simplify those answers. You said, hey, BCB, could Bitcoin triple top like gold has? What's your take on the possibility now that Dow has broken retracements? And what would XRP and the rest of the market look like? Thanks for all you do. That could go on for a long time, man. I think we practically cover that all the time. With the Dow breaking retracements, at least in downtrending markets, right? The whole concept of having retracements is understanding how downtrending markets work. Historically, and most of the time when we're in downtrending markets, you will go back into retracement levels. Retracement levels are where things reject at. Geez, what was that? All right, they will reject and then move on down. And then we go back in for another bounce and then reject and then continue on down. That's the concept of Fibonacci retracements. So in a downtrend, boop, boop, boop. What typically happens though is retail investors become insanely bearish at the bottom, just as they were insanely bullish at the top. They will believe this is not possible and they will sell to try to get lower. Instead, the market will rally on them. Then when you get back into the retracements, this is historically where retail investors will become mega YOLO euphoric again, expecting that we're going to new all-time highs. Instead, we will reject at the retracement levels and retail investors will once again be caught holding the bag again, only for it to fall, for them to sell, expecting lower. The market bounces, repeat, they buy back in, thinking we're going. It rejects over and over again. It's a vicious cycle. And having to understand, we all know, simple downtrend, they don't go in straight lines, but in the thick of it, some people only operate on their emotions. And so the idea is, right, so you get back. Let's see if I can get a good drawing. You think that's a 702? It was just a guess. Just shy. If we get through these, it opens the door that, boom, this is not a downtrending rejection from here, right? Opens the door to go into new all-time highs because this is the most common rejection area there is. To get through it is really optimistic. So if we can get through that, if we can get into the new all-time high, what's the rule for Bitcoin? The rule has been a hard rule. Dow has to go into all-time high in order for Bitcoin to break out into new all-time high. Just because Dow goes into all-time high, I'm not going to be committal on Bitcoin must go into new all-time high, but what I will be is open to the idea that it can. People have always asked me over the last years, do you think Bitcoin can go into a new all-time high? My statement has very blanketly been, not if the Dow doesn't. Here's why. And you try to show that to any Bitcoiner, it gets denied. It gets ignored. It's the rule of law for Bitcoin. It needs the Dow Jones Industrial Average. So if it has the Dow Jones Industrial Average in the all-time high, I'm open to the idea, right? It's no longer a hard no. It becomes, okay, it's possible now. Question is, will it, right? Is if the Dow is going into a 4.236 extension, if we're in Wyckoff distribution as we were with Bitcoin and as we were with Ethereum back in 2021, will that just reaching out to the 4.236 extension only to turn over on itself because it's in distribution be enough for Bitcoin to have enough juice to go on a rampaging bull run? That's going to be the big debate and the big question in here. Do I think it's going to give it enough juice to go back into retracement levels? I would think so. So still, my ideas have always been retracement levels, right? And people always want to get me to be committal on new all-time highs before we get through any retracements. I'm always sitting there screaming, hey, you dinguses that are selling at the bottom, trying to get lower, you know we're going to go back up there, right? But what do the dinguses do? We get back up there and they're like, you don't know nothing. We're going all time high. And then, that happens to them. So getting back to the retracements is the most important thing. And then after that, we can all sit there and fight and debate each other and scream at each other. Who's right and who's wrong? Will it get through retraces? Will it not get through retraces? But, the thing is, get back to them. We can see with the Dow. We can see with the NASDAQ. We can see with the S&P. They got back to them. What were we screaming the whole time in here? That we would go back to retraces, right? What happens beyond that? It's up to the market. But go relive this moment because it's a far different market right now than it was back in June through October and November of last year. Everybody's a Fed expert. Don't fight the Fed. Screaming. Like, most people won't admit it. Most people got wrong-footed down here at the bottom of the market. They did. We saw it. How many people were so smart? Risk manage. Everybody make sure you're risk managing. Yeah, risk managing, you mean selling the bottom? That's what you mean. Sorry, I'm sounding like a jerk. It's because I had to deal with it for a year. I had to deal with being the optimistic guy for a year and getting dinguses thrown at me. I don't even know if that's a thing, but we're going to do it. It's a dingus throwing competition. I don't know. So anyway, we're back through here. This is super great. This opens optimism, right? Like, how can you not be optimistic? So I am. But we clearly see Senor Bitcoin. He only sits down here. We still have that journey to make before we can start sitting there saying our journey is like this. Because look how long the Dow got stuck there. We haven't even gotten there yet. So let's get there, and then we can all start fighting and throwing dingai at each other. As for all your other questions, bro, I think I'm going to have to stop at that one because I already knew it was going to take 20 minutes just to answer all those broad questions. But I'm going to stop right there. But thank you, Jason. Adam Sad gifted a BCB membership. Thank you very much. Appreciate it, man. Alberta's Cowboy. How long did it take you to convince PTW we live in a simulation? Have a good holiday. Love you, broski. We will miss you. Thank you very much. I'm excited for a little holiday really quick. We should ask her. Yeah. So she always says that she's likes to keep her head buried in the ground. Right? Doesn't watch the news, doesn't do any of that. She's like, you know what? If I just don't know about any of it, I can just live my life. I'm like, well, okay. She's like, yeah, I'm totally happy. I just don't have to know about any of this. I'm like, what? You don't have to see Mitch McConnell, having a stroke? No. Well, but, it's crazy. I don't know. So she doesn't she just doesn't pay attention to all of it. All right, somebody says XLM is ripping. All right, let's see. Wow. I don't know what you're looking at, buddy. Maybe we need to go to the 1 second chart. How are we looking? It's Dingus Diary. Oh, yeah, you got to have a Dingus Diary. Thanks, Kevin. Thank you, Alberta's Cowboy. William Andrews, how does your current emotional log match with your old one now that you've better understand? I don't have to keep an emotional log anymore. It's not like it wouldn't be helpful if I did it. I just have I've been through several cycles. I've been through the whole emotional swing of all of it. So I've already gone through all of it multiple times and have recognized the feelings of all of them in each period. Oh, a dingiry. So, yeah, but if you haven't been through any of it, it's so important because, unfortunately, for a lot, they just don't do it. And I understand. It's annoying. But it's something you just have to kind of be committed to. And, it was the number one thing. Because the first thing you have to do is you have to be able to remove emotions from the market. You just have to be able to remove them entirely. That when everybody's screaming in excitement and chasing meme coins, you're selling, right? And you're not doing that. While they're sitting there, we're going to be a bajillionaire. Pepe dude made $5 million in 4 seconds, right? You're instead of sitting there saying, "Oh, I want to make the $5 million in 4 seconds," that you're like, I'm not stupid. I'm not going to go participate in that insanity. Because 99.9999% of those people lose all their money in 4 seconds. They don't make the 5 million in 4 seconds. And so it just becomes, if you can't manage those things, you're screwed. You're just screwed. Anyway, I can tell that a million times. So, it's only if people write down, because every person's different, right? So you feel differently at different times than other people do. But there are certain points where we all feel the same way together. That feeling where your stomach is clenched up. You're laying in bed, you just kind of want to shake. You're like, yeah, I don't feel good. We all go through that. I am Lurker666 says, hey, this is an actual question. I'm not trying to troll. How can he sell merchandise with another company's logo on it? There is no company's logo on it. XRP is free domain. It's like selling something with a Bitcoin logo on it. Now, if I took Ripple's logo and was selling something with Ripple's logo on it, an actual company, yeah, there would be a problem. That's copyright protected. The XRP logo is free domain. But yeah, so I don't have to keep an emotional log anymore because I've been through all of it. And I share those experiences with you guys. Drain Cleaning Australia, BCB, do you dabble with AMC? I do not. Cam Jong-un sends, why doesn't real-world partnerships of likes of Ripple and Hedera and Casper have effects on token price, or does it? It does not. It does not have impacts on token price. Why they do, why they don't, I don't know. The market isn't pricing it in as being valuable. Because what is a partnership? That's what you need to ask yourself. What is a partnership? Did we just shake hands and say, hey, we're partners, let's go around and tell everybody about it? Does it really add any value? That's the question. What do you think about, but thank you, Cam. X Supercar says, what do you think about the XLM price and XRP being stuck? I don't take anything from it. You know, XLM hasn't broken out. It's still ranging. I keep saying this is a ranging context, and ranges by definition could be chaotic, right? So Stellar Lumens is also in a ranging context, right? Ranging context. I wouldn't be surprised if XRPs would have looked like this and then shifted, or is Stellar Lumens, you know, and then it's going to hit the bottom and then go like that. Very possible. These in the middle of a range. We're in. I know this phrase isn't nice, but it's called the dumb money zone, and this is where people try to make a whole lot of sense out of what's happening in between these two range boundaries. And in between these range boundaries, especially right here at the 50% level in the middle of the range, you're not going to make any sense of it. We have to. The only boundaries that matter are these ones at the peak and now the belows. Everything else, you know, attempting to, you know, take shots at the lows and then set stops below the lows. Otherwise, everything else above here. Can't wait to see a screenshot of this on Twitter. And we'll just throw Homer in the middle of it. Everything in there doesn't matter. So there's no point in trying to make anything out of it. And we talked about this last week and the week before. Moon Doggy Gaming, does Bitcoin's weakness reaching the 702 concern you? No, because it's called the wall of worry. You're always going to have the wall of worry heading back up to it. Just like the stock market, it was the wall of worry getting all the way back up to it. Then we get to it. We even got through it, right? Now everybody's YOLOing. But there's always going to be the wall of worry. I've always seen it. When we get back to it, though, that's when everybody will have no concern. So write this in your emotional log if you're keeping one Moondoggle Gaming. I'm concerned about Bitcoin heading back to retracement levels because it looks so weak. Then, if it gets back to retracement levels, my bet is people are going to write, I'm really optimistic that we're going to break through the retracement levels because Bitcoin looks so strong. Right? It's kind of like a parabola. A parabola moves slow in the beginning, then it looks euphoric at the end, but the end marks the end, right? Cam June, when will Ripple IPO? Do you hold any Ripple? One, I have no clue when Ripple will IPO. And two, I do not own any Ripple shares. Still. I don't know if I'm going to. Wing Win says, what's the full fibs extension on the Dingus chart? Hit the likes. Thank you very much. Mr. Nobody, long-time listener, first-time caller. I put my head in the sand and stopped watching the news after you launched Markets in the Morning. You are now my main news source. Hey, sweet. Welcome to News in the Morning, where we laugh at the actual news channels. And we put on tinfoil hats. Thank you, Mr. Nobody. Rupert Vaughn, do you own any XTC? I do not. It seems to be on a tear at the moment. Yeah, it's been parabolic. I think it's kind of been stopped out for a little while. I haven't checked on it in the last couple of days. But yeah, it's already up pretty high. Like late buyers are coming in now. Pat, go get ready for your holiday, which is well deserved, mate. Have a great time with the family. Thank you, Pat. So I'm on an 11-day stretch right now on the Blockchain Backer channel. And as you guys know, we've really moved to trying to consistently have 2 pieces of content put out per day. And so it is going to just be nice to have a couple of days of. And what you guys are going to love even more is I'm only back for 2 days next week. I'm only back for Tuesday and Wednesday, and then I'm gone again. I'm gone again off the channel again from Thursday through Monday of the following week. So we'll have to figure something out. Doing any fishing? I'm hoping to fish a little bit during my days off. It's just relaxing. It's just getting a brain refresher. Planned it out ahead of time. Getting near the end of the summer. Having a nice refresher. Thank you, Riptie. Adam says, go enjoy your well-deserved holiday, mate. Thank you very much. Appreciate it, man. And those first-timer. Thank you. Pat's Butler says, my boss doesn't let me have emotions. I don't know. I don't think Pat's like that. Tanner A says, apologies for another XLM question, but does it make you feel more optimistic for XRP knowing XLM did in fact backtest previous resistance from June of 2022? Man, the hard thing is you have to really put a lot of emphasis on that, right? Can you really rely on that? XLM follows XRP. I don't know why it does it, but it always does, right? I don't think I've seen anybody come out with like super definitive reasoning why. We should get Joel Katz or David Schwartz to say why. Somebody should answer to it. You know what I mean? So we don't have like the exact reason for why it does do it. And that's a little concerning, like that. But no, I can't lean on that in any way, right? What if it stops? Like, really? You totally based your entire thesis off this magical connection between stellar lumens and XRP? You can do better, BCB. I know. Yes, sir, I can. So I can't. But thank you, Tanner. Hurriyak Kanye. I don't know. 907, new member. Welcome. Consumer to Blockchain Solutions says, the fib video in your course is the alpha red pill that all traders need. I found the 1.18 fib is an initial sell-off for stock indexes. Check it out and enjoy your vacation. Sweet. Yeah, even putting that together, even like really deep diving into Elliott waves, there was even a couple of things that I had learned that I didn't know that blew my mind, and I've even shared those here on the channel when it came to the 1.236 when doing expanded flats. That was new to me. That was amazing. So I really tried to brush up at all my own knowledge before recording any of that kind of stuff. And then Cam became a member. Welcome. But yeah, I'm glad you like that. The fib stuff is, of course, it's my most favorite indicator, my most favorite tool. And like I always say, take everything away. And, you know, I'm good, right? Take away all the news, take away all the narratives, take away Bollinger Bands, take away relative strengths, take away everything. Give me the fibs, right? So I'll say to myself, hey, I know where to head back to worry, right? And then I know where the breakouts are, right? Where we get back to? We get back to the fibs. Okay, time to worry. Hey, we've broken out. Time to get excited. Just kind of that simple. And in mastering these, you'll find that this will appear, not just 702s, but just how important the fibs are, will appear all over the place. So, okay, where are we at? We're in an hour and 10 minutes, you guys. So I'm going to go ahead and get into wrapping this thing up. I want to thank you all for the kind words that you have. I want to thank you for the super chats, the gifted memberships. Pat says, I'm just kidding, BCP. He's a great boss, I promise. I believe it. Of course, I'm going to be off for 4 days, guys. So if you're wanting some additional content from me over those 4 days, it's a great chance to catch up on all the stuff I have recorded here this year in 2023. Just silly amounts of content, downloadable PDFs, all that good stuff. Trying to think of anything else. Of course, I'll have Twitter, right? I'm just not going to be on YouTube. Is all it's going to be. Hurry out, Kanye 907 SR says, take your vacation. You deserve it. Enjoy your family. Thank you very much. Thank you, Harnish, saying enjoy it. Y'all have an awesome day. I came here for frogs and songs. Yeah, no frogs today. Yeah. So, okay. Yeah. He says, looking forward to the XRP video, D-Shoe. Yeah. So I have created an XRP video. I've gone through the first round of editing. I'm going to go back and edit through it again. I always do a second round of editing before we release it. Then I'll export it. All that good stuff. It should be out within 1 hour. And that'll be it. That'll start vacation for me. Guys, I want to thank you all for your support. Thank you for always tuning in, hanging out in here, and being a part of the community. It's a great time. We do this every day, and I couldn't be here without you guys showing up. There's 1,900 people in here. That's insane. I can't believe that is how my life is these days. It's not something I take for granted. It's something that a lot of people dream of. It's probably something I couldn't even have dreamed of, that I'd be the guy sitting here with that many people watching. That's an astonishing figure. Amazing. So, okay, I'm going to wrap it up. Check out bcbacker.com over the next few days to brush up on more content from me and more education. Otherwise, I'm going to thank you guys so much for watching. If you could, please like this live stream. Please give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you could be notified of when I create new content and when I go live. As always, this is not investment advice, and I am not a financial advisor. But if you ever need a pick-me-up or a little bit of reassurance, just remember that the blockchain backers got your back. Have a good one.